Good morning, everybody. All right, so I'm just going to say a few words, try to keep it short and sweet. I know the primary purpose of this is to hear about the projects Julia and Natalie had for the summer. But I will say, I think Julia has been here 2 months, literally less than 2 months. And I think she's done more in Michigan and around the area than a lot of us have done in the last 2 years. I swear, every single weekend she's, been to Saugatuck, Holland, Muskegon, Grand Haven, Traverse City. She's going to Chicago this weekend. So, fully embracing the Michigan culture and being a Michigander. Love that, right? But I will say, the one thing that I say it puts a stamp on her being a Michigander is something that happened to her early on in her internship, on her way to work. Anyone want to guess? Gail, something that happens to Gail every year. Yeah, so we can laugh about it now. Very traumatizing for someone from Texas, I can imagine. But we can joke about it now. It's a very common occurrence. I'm sure all of us can speak to how often that happens. Anyways, so speaking about the internship, 2 months, less than 2 months, right? Imagine onboarding an employee in less than 2 months, let alone onboarding plus delivering a full valuable project in that short time frame. And she leaves next Tuesday, so it has literally been almost exactly 2 months from start to end. So that's a testament to the amount of work that both of them have done, and the amount of time spent, the work ethic, and just the value that they bring to the organization, and just how quickly they were able to adapt and grow into the space. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome Julia.
Thank you. My name is Julia, if you haven't heard. And this summer, if we haven't officially met, I was your global sales intern. Okay, so a little overview of what we're going to be going over today. There's a little about me, and then going into the objective of our project, and then diving more in depth of our 2 projects that I worked on, and then finally just an overall experience of kind of how Michigan was like. So a little about me. I am a student at Texas A&M, class of 2026. Hey, woo! And I am studying management information systems, which is within the business school, and I am minoring in cybersecurity. Outside of academics, I am in 3 organizations at Texas A&M, and this past year I served as Director of Public Relations within Asian Presidents Council, Women's Small Group Coordinator within Epic Movement, and Outreach Committee for Christian Business Leaders. And so a little project overview of kind of what the summer was and the objectives that we wanted to reach this summer. And it was to learn the Amway sales plan and how global bonus operations function with each other. And so breaking that objective down, we have 2 kind of projects that we kind of hit. And it was developing a training around the Amway compensation plan, and then kind of developing a RACI, or a matrix determining who is responsible for what roles when executing the plan. And so diving deeper into the training, there were kind of 5 steps that we wanted to hit, or that I wanted to hit when kind of developing this training. And the first one was to connect, to connect with the team, Nick's team, and just being able to understand roles and responsibilities for that team. Learn, to be able to learn the Amway sales plan, right? Like, no, it's so complicated. So understanding it in general, just being able to learn something. And then scope. What audience is this catering to? What is the purpose of this training? Content, being able to kind of figure out what to include and what not to include, and then create. So taking all the content and all the concepts that we've determined, and then being able to kind of translate that into communicative ways to learn. And so with Connect, going into Connect, the first week I was here, I wanted to connect with everyone on Nick's team. So Lena, Fan, Rex, Deborah, and Samantha, just being able to grab one-on-ones with them throughout the summer has been a really big blessing, just being able to see what they're in charge of, what they're responsible for, and some of the skills that they've developed to help them succeed within their job. And then not only that, but I can apply it to my personal life, right? How can I develop those skills to maybe become one of them one day, right? To maybe become responsible for the things that they are responsible for one day. Learn. So there are 4 aspects that we kind of hit when going into when learning the Amway sales plan. And the first one that we hit was the document of record. So day 2, Nick sent me the document of record in my email. And if you don't know what the document of record is, it is the playbook for Amway sales plan. Everything Amway sales plan, you want to know about the core plan, read the document of record, you know? But I'm telling you, the document of record is long. So, along with the document of record, I made a list of questions for Nick every day, and he just got done like getting to answer them and sit down with him and kind of seeing the insights for that. Along with that, I had trainings with Galena, one-on-one trainings, and just being able to learn from just a subject matter expert on the core plan. And then the training, Sales Plan 101 with Greg Bowman, just being able to learn with him and getting to experience the training not only within global sales, but with other people that were interested in sales as well. So people in technology that were at this training, people from outside of the department. It was really cool getting to see and hear their interesting thoughts about this training. And as well, we have ABO acumen. So just being able to sit through that with interns and kind of just being able to see a high level view of what the sales plan is to people outside of the department as well. Okay, so for scope, we have 3 kind of main points that we wanted to hit for scope. And the first one was audience. So who is taking this training? Who is learning from this? And we kind of determined that we wanted 3 departments or 3 entities to kind of be able to interact with this training. And it's global salespeople, GBS or global business services, and affiliate employees. And we kind of determined that the purpose was to be able to kind of give a high-level refresher course on knowledge and to be able to gain more knowledge that maybe some employees don't necessarily use in their job, but could be using to become successful or more successful in their job. And so one big thing is that since the Amway sales plan is very complicated, we wanted to be able to make sure that everyone had a somewhat base view or base understanding of these concepts. So whether it's sponsoring or going into these things, right? We wanted everyone in the sales department to be able to have kind of a basic baseline of an understanding of the sales plan or the compensation plan. And finally, depth. So since this is a base view, we wanted to make sure that the training was high level, but also covered concepts that we wanted to kind of make sure was very crucial, not necessarily in completing their job or being successful in their job, but just in the way we do business as Amway. So content. When it came to figuring out content, I met with these individuals and kind of just interviewed them and asking them what they wanted to see within a training. So whether it's more personal relational things or behaviors that we kind of award, or whether it's calculating bonuses, kind of going around and asking people what they want to see to kind of get a better understanding of what to include. And so just kind of these people are the people that I interviewed, and so I wanted to give them a little tribute. And so diving deeper into content, so what content do we actually have within this training? And so we have sponsoring, monthly and annual bonuses, volume, PV, BV, qualified legs, and qualified months. And there's a lot more that's included, but these are kind of the topics that y'all would most likely know. And if you want more information on it or a higher level view on it, go check out the training. Create. And so these are 2 photos of people that didn't seem to load, I'm sorry. But create, it is kind of the concept of communicating concepts to users. So when we're creating something, how best do we explain things, whether it's through photos or through videos or through a long paragraph that people don't tend to read, how do you articulate kind of these that this training will be able to live on the LMS through 2025. And we used key concepts from Amway University, which is just, the overall university that we currently have now. So what ABOs learn from and what kind of employees can check out as well. And then we use graphics to depict concepts such as LOS, pass up, and bonus calculations. And so if you're kind of thinking about LOS, you think about circles and lines and how it kind of makes a tree. If you're thinking about LOS and you're thinking of squares and other things, I don't really know what you're thinking of, So, right, LOS is circles and lines, and you want to connect the circles with each line. Okay, so kind of moving on to the second part of our project, we have a RACI, which is a comprehensive matrix that determines the responsibility, or determines who's responsible, who's accountable, who's supported, who's consulted, and who's informed within different business processes. And so this RACI was applied to just the payment of global sales, or the payment of global bonuses, and how bonuses are calculated, handed out, verified, and all these different things. And so within these three kind of entities, business entities, we have global sales, GBS, global business services, and affiliate sales. GBS is just an extension of corporate that is located around the world that covers all time zones. So within Asia and within Poland, there's GBS locations. Affiliate sales is people who work directly with ABOs, right? So we have different affiliates like in different countries that work directly with the ABOs. And so within these three departments or business entities, we all work together to make sure that bonuses are paid out at the right time, that are accurately paid out, right? And just that they're calculated correctly. And so creating or a defining chart that kind of that determines who is in charge of what, who is responsible for verifying volume, who is responsible for paying the ABOs from bank to ABO bank, right? How do we do that in the right way, in a responsible way, in a timely manner? And so making sure that the roles are clear and the responsibilities are clear was important. And so that's kind of what I worked on this summer as well. And so challenges that we faced or that I faced when developing this RACI was not being able to understand or not being able to like get the same level of depth within each department. So I went up to someone in GBS and was like, hey, give me a list of tasks and descriptions and processes that y'all do throughout to pay out bonuses. I would get very, very in-depth detail. So step by step, who is in charge of what. And then when I go to affiliate sales, they're like, oh, we're in charge of this. And it's a very high level description, very non-detailed description, very vague. And so kind of trying to balance the difference between, we want very detailed descriptions so that each process is thoroughly explained and why we do it. And so kind of communicating the detail and the depth that we want was something of a challenge because we only had so many times to meet with them, and they were also busy like in charge of their own functions as well. And so also along with that, communication between GBS and affiliate sales was a little bit hard as well because we're in different time zones. And so what we did to like kind of battle that was to kind of initiate frequent check-ins, so making sure that work was getting done and communicating deadlines. So if affiliate sales couldn't get back to me until the 25th, on the 25th would reach out back to them and say, hey, is this done? Where are you along the way with these things? And so overall, there's a lot that I've learned throughout my throughout my Amway experience, just being here, being an intern, and not only am I professionally grown, but also characterly grown as well. So kind of professionally, I went around and grabbed one-on-ones with a lot of y'all and kind of talked about what I want to be when I grow up, or where I see myself in, and kind of determining what I'm good at and looking at other people and seeing what they're good at and what makes them successful in their jobs, right? And so kind of looking at myself inwardly and saying, if I want to be this person when I grow up, what do I do, or how can I better develop myself professionally to be more like them when I grow up? And kind of also asking myself, what do I truly like to do, right? Like, do I really want to sit down and calculate bonuses? Do I really want to stay on call or come early or stay late to talk to people across the world? What do I like to do, and what do I find kind of joy or success in? And then as well, if you've been sitting in on my one-on-ones, kind of asking people what their definition of success is and what their definition of leadership is. And so kind of getting more insight into how they see themselves personally and also professionally, and then kind of taking those definitions and kind of almost helping myself define what I define success as and what I define leadership as well. And so taking like a holistic view of these people that are older than me and are in a stage of life farther than me, kind of looking back and being able to kind of shape myself in their image as well. And so one big question that I asked was kind of hard was, what's the difference between being content and complacent, whether it's in the workplace or whether it's within your life, right? These are questions that I want to know because I want to be able to figure that out for myself as well when I grow up. And then one big kind of trait that I feel like I developed within being a Michigander was being able to move to another city and kind of see myself, right? Who am I without the influence of the people that were around me back at home, right? Who am I without calling my parents every day, or who am I without the influence of friends at school? And so kind of seeing myself and kind of determining what I like to do on the weekends, whether it's going to the beach or reading at a coffee shop. Those are things that are small joys that I kind of carry for myself. And so one question that I very, very much did ask coming in during orientation, Michael Nelson said, the people are what make Amway Amway. And I was like, well, I want to experience that for myself. And so being able to experience just this summer with y'all, and I really can say like the people are what make Amway so special. It's your ability to sit down and wanting to connect with me and wanting to be intentional with me and being able to answer my questions. And so I want to thank y'all for just being able to sit down with me and talk to me. And so it takes a village to raise an intern, and I want to thank y'all for being my village. Yes, and special thanks to my boss, Nick, and my mentor, Tracy.
You can stay up here. Thank you so much, Julia. It's obvious that you learned a lot and I think had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We want to kick off a little Q&A time. So if anybody wants to be our first question, Julia's ready.
Okay.
So Julia, thank you so much for being with us this summer. It was such a joy having you here. I think you challenged a lot of us too and kept us on our toes. I'd like to ask you a question I asked you during the fair, during the exhibition. What is the one big thing you learned about Amway while you were here?
I think my answer would be the same as the fair, and it's that Amway is not a pyramid scheme.
What is your favorite Amway product? And did you use it before you were an intern?
No, I was not acquainted with the Amway products, but I recently got put on the vitamin C serum. Yes, but I'm a little bit disappointed because they raised the prices in the store. And now it's like $10 when it used to be $2. But you know, that's okay. I'll find an ABO back at home to supply me.
Thank you, Julia. Great job. What was the most challenging part about learning the sales plan?
Oh, well,
Or if there's a few.
wow, there was a few. I think there was a lot of like misconceptions when everything is kind of called the same way, whether it's a qualified month or a qualified leg, and what the difference is. And then one big thing was the GPVs and the PPVs, and what do you use to add or like multiply by, or what do you use to determine your performance percent level. And so like the details, but also like I think it's really interesting being able to dive into something that's a lot more complex, because the details matter when something's complex. And so the details are what makes the Amway sales plan the Amway sales plan, you know? And so getting to understand that was also very hard, but I think it's something that I learned to kind of grow in, because I'm a very big picture girl. And so like learning the details was very challenging, but I also very much grown from it.
Great job. And I loved your questions at the end. I wrote down a couple of them for myself. The one about who am I without the influence of others is just like amazing. So I would love to hear more about your answer to that and how that's shaping the road you're going to take now before you had this experience to figure that out.
Yeah, definitely, right? I think I give up a lot in college when it comes to studying, or when it comes to having orgs, or like orgs to attend to, or being with friends. I think a lot of who I am is very attached to the people around me, whether it's serving others or giving up sleep to stay up late and talk about the things and the mysteries of life, or being able to kind of experience joys with other people. And so moving to Michigan, I think one of the bigger things I experienced originally was fear, right? Like, oh my gosh, like if I die, like someone may not find my body until the next day, you know? or like the idea of like, oh, like I really enjoy reading, and I really don't have time to read in college. I don't have time to kind of sit down and enjoy the weather, maybe because it's scorching hot outside, but like being able to walk around and walk downtown and go explore coffee shops and sit there for an entire day and not have to think about anything else is something that I truly enjoy doing, and I will set time outside for myself in college to do, because I realized that it is really refreshing getting to just be by myself for a whole day and be able to read and kind of just like people watch or kind of just sit there and enjoy just the silence or enjoy just not being able to do anything. And so I really, really appreciate that. That's what I learned about myself.
I had a question for you.
Yes.
Out of all the things that you gathered, what was your definition of leadership or success?
That was a good question. I think I came into kind of Amway with already a definition of success, and I think my definition hasn't really changed. And I think it's been influenced by the way I see other people define success. So for me, it's being able to love others well, right? To be able to love others above myself. And it's not thinking, oh, like that I'm just below everyone else, but it's being able to like serve them, right? And I think in that it also leads to leadership, right? A lot of people talked about servant leadership, being able to lead in a way that is serving others and meeting the needs of others, whether it's through empathy or whether it's through just the background work that no one ever sees you do. And so being able to have humility in those things and being able to be a humble leader and being able to like kind of serve others and kind of put yourself like at a lower level, but not necessarily like in like the physical sense of a lower level, but kind of being able to say like, oh, my purpose here is to be able to love others well, to serve others well. And I think that is a good definition of success and of leadership.
All right, let's get one more round of applause for Julia.
Thank you.